Hot off the press, Tesla just dropped their Q1 deliveries report, and I think it's just about as bad as everybody suspected that it would be. Tesla sales plunge. Biggest decline in history. The article from CNN continues here. Tesla sales plunged 13% in the first 3 months of this year, the largest drop in deliveries in its history, as backlash against CEO Elon Musk and growing competition took a large bite out of demand for its EVs. Tesla reported Wednesday that it delivered 336,681 cars in the quarter, 50,000 fewer vehicles compared to the first 3 months of last year. The results were the company's worst sales in nearly 3 years. And after I saw this, the first thought that popped into my head was, yeah, of course the sales were bad. Elon made this insane play at politics and business and trying to combine them and do something in the government while he ran his companies, and the backlash was basically biblical. There was no world in which this was going to go well and cause the companies that he runs to profit off of his insanity. And it wasn't even just me that saw this. As far as I know, basically the entirety of Reddit thought it was going to happen, and also all the analysts that I looked at thought that it was also going to tank their Q1 sales and also have possibly permanent, or at very least long-term damage to the company's reputation. You can see Business Insider reports more about it here. Tesla's latest decline could be one for the history books, JPMorgan analysts said, and this was actually before the Q1 deliveries were reported. This is what people are saying about the company before Q1 deliveries are reported, but after Elon has kind of taken his Doge stance and tried to go into government service. Tesla has lost much of its value in such a short period of time that JPMorgan analysts said that they couldn't think of another comparable moment in automotive history. We struggle to think of anything analogous in the history of the automotive industry in which a brand has lost so much value so quickly, they wrote, adding that the closest example was when Japanese and Korean car brands lost sales amid diplomatic disputes in China in 2012 and 2017, respectively. The JPMorgan analyst wrote in a note on Wednesday that those historical cases were confined to a single market, whereas the decline in Tesla sales in 2025 is not specific to any one nation or geography. JPMorgan analysts cut their price target on Tesla by about 41%. That's huge, from $230.58 to $135, lowering the guidance on vehicle deliveries for the first quarter of 2025 to about 355,000, an 8% year-over-year decrease from the first quarter of 2024. Now, this was before we got the delivery report. They were merely predicting that things were going to get notably worse. And not only did things get notably worse, but things were actually more bad and got more worse than they thought they were going to. Because, again, of course they did. The backlash has been awful. Elon's decisions to associate himself with a political party that is directly contrary to the political party of most of his customers, of course it's going to have terrible repercussions on the company. From December to Wednesday after trading hours, Tesla lost nearly 49% of its market cap, seeing its peak value of $1.54 trillion from the end of last year. Remember, after Trump was elected, the Tesla valuation skyrocketed because he had aligned himself so closely with the US government. It fell to $777 billion. That's crazy. That is a 50% drop basically in just one quarter. JP Morgan is a bank, so it cares about one thing, and that is money. When they wrote this, they don't have any kind of a prejudiced or a political agenda. They're just talking about, here's what we see in the world of stocks, here's how the customers are reacting, here's what they are going to purchase or not purchase. And what they are not purchasing is Tesla. And it went so far that even huge, generally big Tesla bulls like analyst Dan Ives, who absolutely love the company, are very bullish on it, were saying that Elon was directly harming the company and calling on him to step away from his government involvement and get rid of his DOGE association and go back to just running company. And despite the customers pulling back and the backlash online and the analysts saying that it was harming the company, Elon basically just said no, stuff it. But he's going to stick with his government work and continue to let his companies crash and burn because of it. Now, as with every time something goes down, you have to wonder, well, what does the company have to say about it? And the answer is actually almost literally nothing. Here's what their press release for the delivery report says. While the changeover of Model Y lines across all 4 of our factories had led to a loss of several weeks of production in Q1, the ramp of the new Model Y continues to go well. And there's kind of nothing to say there. They're saying, oh, well, we lost deliveries because we had to switch over our production lines from the old model Tesla Model Y to the new Tesla Model Y. But like, that's not what happened. And I think we all know that's not what happened. Tesla messed around and now they are finding out. Because of course they are. Like I said earlier, Tesla owners are primarily Democrats. And Elon very pointedly made an enemy of basically every Democrat that is out there. It kind of reminds me of Target, which has been a recent example I've seen that's been boycotted by, in this case, conservatives. They made very public political stances, and as a result of that, conservatives just refused to shop there. And their stocks plummeted then and are continuing to plummet now as their same-store sales and the amount of foot traffic that they're getting, as I've reported on a couple times, continues to decrease. Or think of like the MyPillow CEO. He took a very hardline extremist stance in favor of President Donald Trump, and so of course every Democrat ever stopped purchasing MyPillows. It tanked their image and their valuation, and in recent rounds of funding, he's just not been able to get the amounts that he has previously. The money that you make from liberals is the same money that you make from conservatives. So to alienate either party as a company is bizarre, absurd, and most importantly, short-sighted. Target learned that the hard way, MyPillow learned that the hard way, and now Elon is having to learn that the hard way with Tesla. The only real consolation prize that Elon Musk has out of this whole situation is, well, I mean, at least he's popular with conservatives. Except that's what I thought until I actually looked into it, and it turns out that maybe he's actually not that popular with conservatives. 67% of adults under the age of 30 hold an unfavorable view of Musk, compared with about half of those 30 to 49, about 53%, and those 50 and older, 49%. So at least half, up to 2/3 of adults believe that Elon Musk is not a great guy, or at very least hold an unfavorable view of him. And it's interesting that if you're under the age of 30, you're more likely chronically online. That's the category I fall into. So you're more likely to dislike him as you see his internet presence and grow to hate it. Now, I had thought that this dislike would be primarily Democrats, maybe a couple of Republicans, but it's actually worse than that. Age differences are particularly pronounced among Republicans when it comes to views of Musk. About half of Republicans under 30 express an unfavorable view of Musk. That's huge. By comparison, 23% of those from 30 to 49%, and even fewer of those from 50 and older, 16%, see him negatively. For Democrats, favorability of Musk does not differ across the three age groups. I think anyone could have told you that. But the fact that if you are under the age of 30 and a Republican, almost half of them dislike Musk as well. It's not even like he's really winning points with the people on the other side of the aisle. This is kind of a universal and bipartisan failure of him to gain popularity and boost his own personal net worth. Sure, maybe conservatives don't hate him as much as liberals do, but it's hard to like the guy tanking the valuation of one of the largest companies in your portfolio and directly contributing to like your retirement not being as big as it could be. I, as an investor, do not want a politically active CEO. I want ethical business practices and solid returns on my investments so that I can someday retire. These are two things Elon Musk is simply not providing right now. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are celebrating this right now. And while I do understand that, I'm not sure it's actually that justified of a reaction. Love him or hate him, Elon Musk himself as the person is probably going to be just fine. And I want to read you this bit on Elon Musk's net worth. What is Elon Musk's net worth? Elon Musk's net worth is approximately $330 billion, Forbes reported in March of 2025. That's a massive drop from the record-breaking $486.4 billion in wealth he had reached just a few months earlier in December of 2024. Fortune reported that the history-making figure was thanks to SpaceX, an astronautics company that Musk founded in 2002. At the time, the company received $350 billion in valuation, with investors reportedly putting a lot of stake in Musk's relationship with Trump. But the billionaire didn't get all of his wealth from building rockets. Only 26.6% of Musk's wealth comes from SpaceX per Forbes. The majority of his money, at 58.3 to be exact, comes from Tesla. Musk's third largest asset is xAI, an artificial intelligence startup that makes just over 8% of his riches. So let's say Tesla goes to zero. At a $330 billion valuation for his net worth, that's still like $150 billion in net worth. I bet he could probably eke by on $150 billion. The only thing that happens if Tesla goes to zero is kind of everyone gets hurt. Stock portfolios drop, all the employees are laid off, and a huge American car manufacturer goes under. That's not necessarily a good thing. The system is basically set up so that everybody around Elon Musk fails and goes under and is hurt by the fact that his reputation is tanking the valuation of his company. It's not Elon himself that's actually having a negative outcome from this. And so being happy that Tesla's going down isn't the right reaction, because what's going down is the individual people within Tesla. Worst case scenario, Elon Musk still controls like 8% of the world's global wealth. Now, there's a rumor floating around that after the Q1 delivery report that Elon told Donald Trump, or Donald Trump told Elon, that Elon will be stepping away from Doge. However, this has been since disproven, with Elon Musk himself quote tweeting someone talking about it and saying that it was fake news. So Tesla's doing badly, the valuation is dropping, the stocks are plummeting, and nothing is changing. This is not really a story with a happy ending, because there's not a good outcome here. The situation sucks for everyone, except maybe Elon Musk, because frankly, he'll be just fine either way. Thanks for watching.